High on a building which overlooks Brighton, Hove and a large part of southwest Sussex, there are two video repeaters, GB3VR and GB3RV, run by the Worthing Video Repeater Group. So what is a video repeater? Well, put simply, it enables somebody who's transmitting a video and audio signal from their home to reach a greater audience. This is achieved by the repeater receiving their signal and retransmitting or repeating on another frequency. Greater reach is achieved because repeaters are usually sited on tops of hills or very tall buildings. This enables them to transmit signals over a larger area, whereas the initial station transmitting into the repeater could well be in a built-up area, or at the bottom of a hill, or in a valley, making it very difficult or even impossible for one or more other stations to receive his signal direct. GB3VR is a 23 cm or 1.2 GHz repeater, and GB3RV is a 3 cm or 10 GHz repeater. GB3RV receives signals with a horn aerial and a converted satellite LNB, fed into a standard satellite receiver. Video and audio signals from the satellite receiver are passed on to a logic control unit. This is based around an Amiga 600 and looks after the automatic running of the repeater so that when signals come in, they are handed on to the transmitter. If there are no signals present, the repeater transmits a series of test cards and every 15 minutes a Morse identification. The video and audio which comes out of the logic control box is then fed into the transmitter, which has an almost identical horn antenna bolted onto it. GB3VR, the 23 cm repeater, uses a single quad loop aerial to receive and transmit. That is fed into a splitter. The output of the splitter is fed into a wooden Douglas receiver, then into a logic control box, again controlled by an Amiga. The output of the logic control box feeds a Solent transmitter, which in turn is fed into a power amplifier, increasing the transmitter power. The output of the power amplifier is fed back into the splitter and back to the single aerial. The reason for using a single aerial is not just to save space on site, but as a rule of thumb, if you can receive pictures from the repeater, you can usually send pictures to it. GB3VR has many more functions than GB3RV. There's an on-site weather station, in which the data can be displayed over the video repeater, giving you up-to-the-minute wind speed, direction and temperature. There's a remote camera which overlooks the racecourse, and if you're very lucky, you can zoom in to see who's winning the 2:15 at Brighton. There's a slow scan facility on the input, enabling people on 144 MHz to transmit a still picture that can be displayed on the output of the repeater. Other functions such as a talking clock,
744,
automatic AGC, and a talkback facility are available. Also, information pages containing data on aerials, recent users of the repeater, and the highs and lows of the past week's weather. To receive signals from the 23 cm GB3VR repeater, you require nothing more than an aerial, a satellite receiver, and a monitor or TV. The satellite receiver may require some slight modification, ensuring that the voltage which is normally present at the LNB socket is disabled, and the video level may require turning up. But other than that, it's straightforward. Plug in an aerial, connect the satellite receiver to the monitor, select the right frequency, and hopefully the repeater will appear before your eyes. To receive pictures from the 3 cm repeater GB3RV, the same equipment is required, but this time the volts are not removed from the LNB input of the satellite receiver. A modified LNB and the matching horn replace the aerial. The pictures from GB3RV will only be available if you can see the racecourse in Brighton from your home location. This is because the high frequency of this repeater doesn't allow its signals to go through hills, buildings or heavy foliage. So, if you are unable to see Race Hill, you will probably struggle to receive a picture. But even with so-called line of sight limitations, stations some 17 miles away in West Worthing are not only able to see the repeater, but put signals back into it using nothing more than a modulator, a gun diode head producing about 15 milliwatts, and a small horn aerial. The signals from the 23cm repeater GB3VR are not so difficult to receive. Because it's a lower frequency, the signals are able to go through some buildings and over the tops of hills, and as a result, people much further afield are able to view pictures. Bognor, Littlehampton and Chichester are three places in particular, at a distance of about 25 to 30 miles from the site, which are normally covered by the transmissions of this repeater. Under certain atmospheric conditions, the repeater can be seen and worked from places as far away as Portsmouth, Southampton and even parts of northern France. So what are you liable to see if you were to tune in to GB3VR, let's say? Well, during the daytime, Monday to Friday, the repeater is a little quiet, most people being at work. So a selection of test cards, weather pages and of course the occasional user can be seen. But at weekends and in the evenings, the repeater is very much more active. There's Jim from Shoreham, who regularly transmits mini-films he's made of local events.
There we go, okay.
Computer buffs who like to show off their latest software and websites. A regular number of stations simply pop up for a chat.
So what do you want?
Sometimes live local events, rallies or exhibitions are transmitted just for fun.
JZ made it.
We've even had a bird's eye view of rare town nesting peregrine falcons hatching live on air.
That looks quite good.
There are no limits to what can be achieved with relatively simple equipment and a little ingenuity. The hobby is great fun and the people are really helpful. If you want to know more, just ask or visit our website at www.videorepeater.co.uk.